Hi, welcome back to JJ's Productions, and we've got our second Stoke City FC Vlogcast. This time we're going into the Brentford game, coming off let's say a poor result against Leeds, because I'm not exactly sure how else to characterise it.
Please don't.
As we've heard, he is my co-host and mother, Janet Flint. And what would you have to say about the Leeds game?
I think the least said the better, and I'm just glad you didn't have me doing this on Sunday, because my words wouldn't have been very nice at all about Stoke.
Well, the main problem we've got is we're recording this on Thursday, and it is around 5 o'clock we're doing this, so deadline day has just passed. And at the point of recording, we haven't had any confirmation about any signings coming in from the Leeds game. There is a high chance that Sam Clucas will be joining, but at this moment we've had no confirmation. What I would say is Sam Clucas enough?
No. We need a defender, because Saturday it was abysmal. Sunday, beg me pardon.
I've got to say, I have seen Emmental cheese with less holes in it. You know,
Well,
the defence was that bad. You know, Leeds didn't really need to be impressive to actually pick holes in us, which is the worrying thing. They were impressive. I'm not taking anything away from Leeds. I just want to make that abundantly clear before I start this.
I don't agree, sorry son. But I think Stoke made Leeds look good.
Oh, it was both, I think. I think,
Yeah.
you know, as good as Leeds were, we were as bad.
Yeah.
You know, they had a game plan which was to press us, and we
did.
just didn't respond to it at all. And I do have to point the finger a little bit at Gary Rowett there.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I'm not dismissing the players in the sense that they have got to take their share of the blame as well. But for me, the top managers or the top coaches, in the middle of a game when they realise their team isn't performing anywhere near the required standard, they either make a change or they get into the players on the touchline and make a change. We just saw none of that on Sunday. And I think what we need is a reaction from both the coach and the players this time.
Yeah. I can't understand why they haven't just signed Rob Huth. Even if he only played 45 minutes. And at least you know he's got a good rapport with Ryan. And whereas the defence on Sunday, you'd have thought that they'd never played as a team before. Oh, words fail me, I'm sorry, Josh.
I mean, it's got to be said, we're still a little bit raw on the Leeds game, but I think what is getting me the most is I'm looking at Brentford ahead of the game, obviously, and I'm just taking a general look into their transfer strategy. And I've been informed that what their transfer strategy is, it's referred to as the Moneyball technique, where you buy low and you sell high. So I think they were hoping to sell Ryan Woods, was it, to Swansea? But I think that move might not have gone ahead. But the idea being, they bought him, for maybe a couple of million, and they'd have sold him for 15. Now, I respect that they wouldn't have wanted him to go Brentford, but the idea would have been, if he had gone, they'd have made a profit. Now, I'm looking at the players we've bought in this window. How many of them, if they have a good season for us, will go on for a profit? I mean, maybe Etterbo, if he has a good season. But
Maybe.
Afobe, I'd argue, has already had his one chance in the Premier League, and unless he gets a club up there and stays, I don't think another Premier League club will call for him. But after that, I'm a bit unsure who else would go for one of our players. McLean and Ince are both from the Premier League, and I don't think Premier League clubs will come for them. Federici has come up as a backup in the Championship. Who is going to want our new signings? And I know that isn't... I'm sorry I'm digging at new players, but I'm looking and thinking, have we just picked up a bunch of rejects? You know, and it is quite worrying, again, going into the upcoming games.
Well, McLean was the only one who showed what he could do. I mean, he wasn't 100%, but he was better than the other new players. You know, he was going for the tackles and getting the ball. Okay, some of them weren't clean, but that's by the by.
Yeah, I mean, for the record, I'm not criticising McLean here or Ince for the most part. I didn't think he had a great game, but I thought he did alright, Ince. And the less I say about some of the other players, the better. But I'm just looking at the idea of what is our transfer strategy. I just cannot pinpoint it. Granted we got a good game out of McLean, but what was the aim long term with him? Was it just the fact that he's a willing runner and he might be able to get us into the Premier League, just by doing a job? It doesn't seem like it was a long term plan. And again, I've got to look at Rowett here because he is the one who authorised what he wanted McLean. I think the club would have preferred to have gone away from him. So I'm trying to be. I've realised I am going harsh on McLean here, and I don't intend to do that because, like I say, he did have a good game. What I am pointing at is the strategy, because I'm looking forward at the loan window we've got till the end of August, and I'm thinking, who are we actually in for? Because so many promising young players or promising Championship players have actually gone. It's like I'm looking at Aston Villa. They've had this transfer, not this transfer embargo, but they've actually struggled for half of the window. Suddenly they've have funds freed up and they go for Axel Tuanzebe from Manchester United, and I'm thinking, why didn't we go for him? I think I'm venting a bit of frustration here, that's to say the least. But
there were so many options and none of them were taken.
Yeah, I mean, another one just to name, the lad West Brom have signed, Tosin Adarabioyo, I think you say his name. And I'm looking again at the Brentford squad here and I'm thinking, you've got quite good players in their squad. I mean, Henrik Dalsgaard, if I'm right, he went to the World Cup with Denmark. So he's a quality right back. I think he can play at left back as well. So you're looking at that and thinking, is there a reason we weren't interested? I feel like that's the question I've been asking for the past 2 weeks at minimum. Why aren't we interested in certain players? The most we've heard on one player is Knudsen, and that went as cold as any deal I've heard of. I'm just baffled why we seem to be so inactive.
Well, as we've been sitting here, we've just heard the news that Sam Clucas has definitely signed for us. Yay, another midfielder. No defenders, but a midfielder. Anyway, let's get on to the Brentford match and see your thoughts on that, Josh.
Well, I don't know how any other Stokies feel in particular, but coming off a 5-1 victory, I think this is the last team we want to face right now. Our confidence is about as low as it could possibly get, and Brentford's must be through the roof. So I'm not too optimistic, I'm not going to lie.
The only thing is, I said that we've got to keep an eye on that Mapai, however you pronounce his name, sorry, because he was a nippy little thing. But when you think they were only playing Rotherham, who'd just been promoted, so I'm sort of a bit dubious of whether they can play against other teams like that. The last time they scored 5 goals was against Birmingham in February this year. So it's not as if they have results like that a lot. So I'm just thinking maybe it will be a bit easier than the Leeds match.
I get where you're coming from with that. I actually think it's a good point that they have scored against someone like Birmingham. The only thing I could counter that with is I'm thinking, did you say February that was?
Yes.
Going to say February, that would be under their previous manager before they got Gary Monk. That was Steve Cotterill, wasn't it? So I don't know about any other Stokies when I mention Steve Cotterill, but I don't think of tight defences, and I'm also thinking to myself that isn't what our defence is at the moment either. So
I'd like to think that our defence are going to be a lot better. Well, if they aren't, then I've got no answers, I'm sorry. But they've got to be better than the Rotherham defence.
I would actually like a response from some Stoke supporters if they're listening to this, that if you had the choice now to take a 0-0, which would obviously be the first point on the board, but it would also be a clean sheet, would you take it if it meant that we didn't get a goal? Because I think that is another problem we've got, that goals are looking a little bit hard to come by. But would you take the clean sheet over the goal right now?
Can I answer, please? No, I wouldn't. We need goals. We can't just stay in the bottom 3 and be comfortable there. they've got fight.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I heard a quote from someone this afternoon that they said they thought it was going to be easy, but even the referees are different in the Championship.
I mean, in fairness, in the Leeds game, there was a right clanger from the ref. That shirt pull in the first
That
half.
should have been a penalty.
I'm talking about the one on the halfway line.
Oh,
I
I
can't
mean
remember.
about in the penalty area, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't remember the players involved off the top of my head, but it was as blatant a shirt pull as you could get, and he didn't even blow. I think Leeds actually went on the counter-attack and nearly created a goal-scoring chance. So, well, I agree with you completely there. The players, the referees and all of that, they're a completely different breed to what we're used to.
What I can't understand is why Gary Rowett didn't say this to the players instead of, bumping them up and thinking, oh yes, we can win. We don't know what the Championship is like. We haven't been there for 10 years. He should have really pummeled it into our players.
I mean, by all accounts, from what we hear through the media, this was what he was trying to do, but it seems like the message didn't get through. I can only assume those who didn't perform sort of took it for granted, and it was like, oh yeah, you're just saying that sort of thing. But maybe that was the rude awakening they're talking about. I mean, Ryan Shawcross has come out after the Leeds game and said that is the result we needed to sort of remind us of how tough it's going to be. And I'm thinking, well, you didn't need telling. The manager has been saying that from the word go. So it's actually quite disheartening to have your captain come out and say that. And I do love Ryan. I hope he recovers from this game, because if there's one player I would love to play 46 games this season, it's Ryan.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
if he doesn't get his form back, he can't just stay there because he's the captain. And I feel horrible for saying that, because if there's one player, again, who I feel deserves a good season, it's Ryan. But equally, I'm looking at him and Martins Indy and thinking, if I was Neil Maupay or Sergio Canos or any of the Brentford forwards, I'd be wondering how easy they're going to be to carve open.
We've got all big players, tall players. Now, I didn't see many tall players at Brentford, unless I just blinked and I didn't think about it. But I thought that they were quite on the smallish side. Now, our defenders are massive.
Yeah.
And if they can't overpower somebody, with the small attacking players, then they've got no chance against anybody.
It's all a question of what you consider a dominant defensive performance there, because I agree height is a very big thing. If you've got a small player, you would like to think you could physically dominate them. But the other side of it is, can you keep track of their movement?
Yeah. I know what you're saying, love.
Yeah, I think this is a longer term gripe by myself, but it's where I think we made a big mistake allowing Mark Muniesa to leave. In the sense that I think he was a player who could keep track of the smaller players, as it were.
Yeah.
He was a very intelligent defender. Granted, he wasn't the tallest, but I think he was probably the best we had at the club for knowing what a striker was going to do and tracking a run.
Well, remember when I first saw Muniesa jump, I said, how has he jumped that high?
Yeah.
I was amazed how high he got. Now, talking about high, can we just go on to Peter Crouch for a second?
Of course.
And Bojan,
Yeah.
the big and the small of it. Pardon me, when they come in on Sunday, I think the whole game changed.
Yeah.
And again, like I said about Houthi, if we could bring Crouch on either the first half or the second half, then I think he will make a difference. I don't think he can play him for the 90 minutes. I don't think he...
Just checking, we're talking about Crouch here, aren't we?
Crouchy, yeah. And then you got Bojan. He was really nippy, as if he was trying to make a point to Gary Rowett. I'm here, and this is what I do.
I mean, this is the worrying thing, because yesterday on social media there were pictures of Bojan at Stoke Station with a lot of bags, shall we call it. And I've got to admit, it looked the saddest I've ever seen Bojan. Someone did tweet to me if I was at Stoke Station, I'd be looking sad as well. And I have to agree there. But on the other hand, you're then hearing reports that maybe he's thinking of moving to Portugal. And I really hope he doesn't, because by the looks of it, Rowett is willing to give him game time. He was one of the first 2 subs in the Leeds game. It could have been Juve, it could have been Crouch before, well, not Crouch before, sorry, but it does seem like he was trusted. So I think to push him out would be very foolhardy of the club. And as for Crouch, I agree completely with what you've said, that within 10-15 minutes game time, he did more bar score than Afobe did. I know that, and that sounds horrible that with Afobe, considering, like I say, he did score, he did his job with the penalty. Yet, movement-wise, I think Crouch offered more, which is quite harsh to say when Crouch is 36, 37.
37, yeah.
I
mean, when he first come to Stoke, I hadn't really taken much notice of him, and I thought he was a heading, always used his head. But I'm amazed how he plays with his feet.
Yeah.
I just think he's so good, and he wins a lot of balls because of the long legs.
I think if we're going to be playing a 4-3-3, which Gary Rowett at the moment at least seems quite insistent on sticking with, I think Crouch has got a part to play, because at least he can hold the ball up whilst forwards get into play. The trouble comes when he can't break. He's not a pacey forward by any stretch now. So what we're reliant on is movement around him. Now, there's a bit of me that thinks that is possible if you've got, say, Etebo and, I'm going to say, Bojan just for argument's sake, trying to push beyond him. Then you've also got McLean and Ince on the wings. I think that could work, but I don't see it happening, because if anything, that asks the question, where is Alan playing, where is Ndai playing, if either one of them plays? It just raises too many questions. So, I'm actually quite confused what the plan is when Afobe plays, because he's obviously going to be the number 1 striker this season. So what is the game plan with Afobe? Because from that first game, I haven't got a clue what we were aiming to do with him.
No. Can I just mention another number 1?
Yeah.
Jack Buckland. I think now that nobody has come in for him, and the window closed at 5 o'clock, I think it won't be on his mind, and I hope he's going to have a better game. Okay, he made a few saves, but I just hope that now he's rest assured that he's staying at Stoke, that his performances will be up in where they were in the Premiership. Sorry.
Again, someone on social media was talking to me about Butland the other day, and their comment was along the lines of, after the Leeds game, we should be in a strong negotiating position, and we shouldn't have to negotiate a deal with Butland, because he should, no one should be coming for him. He should be happy that he's at Stoke. And to be honest, my rebuttal was, after that mistake they made against Leeds, we should be doubling down and trying to convince him we are loyal to him by offering him a new deal. Just basically say, you know what, no one's come in for you, that's not your fault, we've actually, stood firm. What we're going to do is we're going to offer you just a little pay rise from your relegation deduction, and we're going to, we'll even make it easier for you if you want to leave in the future. Either that, if we do it in the January window or next season or whenever, we'll just offer him some assurances that we are thinking about his future as much as our own. Because I think if we just hang him out to dry essentially and say, well, you made a mistake, it's just going to completely backfire, because there is a good goalkeeper in there. It's just, I agree completely with you that now that the window's shut, I think we're going to see more of it. I think before this window, he got it on his mind that he could be moving somewhere. And
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, even before the end of the window, the start of the window at the end of last season, yeah. I think even then, as much as he might not have been trying to, I think Jack had got it on his head that if we go down, he's got to move.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is where all of the lack of commitment in public has come from, because he doesn't want to say he's committed to Stoke and then move, because he is actually quite happy here. But he also knows that if a move came, he couldn't turn it down. So
exactly, yeah.
I think that it's all been a case of Jack's just been keeping quiet and letting the club do the business, which we respect as fans. So maybe now's the time for the club to actually say, you've done good, Jack. How about we reward you for your behaviour?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And whoever was talking to you on social media. But, yeah, I'm just hoping that he now gives 100%. You know, I'm not saying he gave 50% on Sunday. He didn't. You know, he did play good, but we know he can do better.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. He can do better, and hopefully starting on Saturday, he will do better.
Okay, Josh, how about we do a prediction for the Brentford match? We didn't do it last week because we ran out of time. So, prediction.
I'm feeling a bit morbid because of the last week, I've got to admit, but I'm going to go very drab and go a 0-0 and just hope that Rowett has had them all. I'm going to hope Rowett's been on the training ground and drilled them defensively and that we just hold out for a draw.
Josh, you're a flint.
Okay.
I'm going for 2-1 Stoke, obviously.
Okay, any goal scorers on your mind?
Yes. I think Bojan will score if he comes on. That is, we don't know obviously what the team is.
Yeah.
But I've got a feeling that McLean can do it.
It'd be good. I think it'd be good if either him or Ince got a goal early on. I mean, we are only in game 1, and I have said I'm morbid, but you know it is still early days. But I think that performance last week was just that downheartening. It's very hard to lift yourself straight away.
Oh, I've lifted myself. I forgot that now.
You've got years on me, Duck. But it's like I say, I'll get there. It's just, you know, I think what we need, more than the result this week, I think we need the performance. You know, I think if it was a 1-0, but it could have been a 2-3-4, you know, we'd feel much better. You know, I think we'd all take that than a 4-1 loss that was terrible.
I mean, I always say that it takes Stoke 15 minutes to warm up on the pitch once they've kicked off. Unfortunately, it didn't even go, well, they didn't warm up in 90 minutes, did they? So I'm hoping that 90 minutes out at Leeds has prepared them now for Brentford.
Well, here's hoping, but I'd like to know what all the Stoke City supporters are thinking, and if there are any Brentford supporters listening in, I wouldn't mind knowing what you think as well. So, I'm going to put our Twitter handles in the description, and I'm going to put them on the video screen now. Mine is at JTF Stoke, and my mum Jan's is Jan Flinty, at Jan Flinty. I'm going to say we'd like to hear from you regarding what your thoughts are regarding the Brentford match, and what is considered the tweet of the week will get a mention in next week's vlog. So any tweets, any thoughts, share them to us and you might just get a mention on the video.
Well, I hope you're going to enjoy this week's vlogcast. I'll launch over to Josh now to wrap up.
Well, I would like to thank everyone who listened in last week. I've been keeping an eye on the viewership, and by far last week's vlogcast was the best watched video on my channel to date. So considering the channel launched in the end of March, that is some achievement. So I would like to thank everyone who tuned in. You've made a big contribution to JJ's Productions. In that vein, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, it would be doing a great service to the channel. So every view, every minute watched, every subscription, it means a great deal to both myself and Jan. On that vein, I would like to thank you for watching this video in particular. We'll be doing next week with Preston away. But until then, thank you very much for watching. This is Josh, this has been Jan, and I hope to see you again next week.
See you, folks.
Bye for now.